Hey, Jason Starr here, and the topic of today's video is you should never get writer's block. Now, I know I'm taking a risk here doing a video about how I avoid writer's block. I'm tempting the gods of writer's block. I'm knocking on wood here. But I think this is an important subject because it's something a lot of people struggle with. I feel I've developed some pretty good strategies over the years, and I want to share them with you here, and hopefully you'll like the video and want to share it. The first way I feel to avoid writer's block is, and I already did a video on this, is to have a word count every day. I said 1,000 words, but it could be 500 words. But most importantly, to get into the habit of writing every day. And one reason you want to do this is obviously you want to do it to finish your book and get a lot done, but you also want to do it to keep your head in the book and stay focused every day on your book. And you do that by having a word count. And this is how writers get ideas. This is a question all writers get. Where do your ideas come from? Well, your ideas come to you when you're focused on creating your book and working on your book and doing it every day and getting into that routine. As you get into the routine of writing every day, you're going to start getting new ideas. So that's yet another reason to have a word count and to stick to it every day. But as far as writer's block's concerned, it's just a great way to keep your head in the book. And some of you might say, some of you might feel like you've had writer's block, and if it's a situation where you are writing intermittently, where you're working on your book once a week or even once a month and you put it down for a while, well, of course you're going to have writer's block because you don't have your head in the project. So you're not going to remember the attitudes of the characters, the plot. So definitely just get into that habit of working every day. Even on a day you're busy, you want to have your head in the book. And this goes to my second method. I would definitely suggest, like on days when you feel a little stuck and you feel like you do have some writer's block, go back and revise your book that day. Like go back to the first chapter and work on that chapter and get your head back into the rhythm of the novel. I remember when I was working on my most recent novel, Fugitive Red, which came out several months ago and available now at all stores. But when I was working on that book, I often every day, just as a routine, I would go back, especially to the first few chapters, and I would just tweak them and make some revisions. Sometimes I would do some actual rewriting. And it was just a way to get my head back into the book. And it could just be going back to what you wrote the day before and rereading that. But the most important thing is you want to keep your head in the book, keep reading. And look, I don't feel, on a day when you do revision and you're not actually writing, some of you may define that as writer's block because you didn't write your 500 words for the day. I don't consider that writer's block. I consider that a productive day if you've been revising your book and you've been getting a lot done. If you rewrote a chapter and set yourself up for the next day, that's a productive day. And this ties into my third method of avoiding writer's block. And this is something that Hemingway used to do, so I sort of picked it up and modified it over the years. But basically, stop when you know what's going to happen next. So if you're really on a roll in a chapter or a section of your story or whatever you're working on, it's always a good idea to stop at a high point. Like when you know what that next scene is and you're dying to write that next scene, that's not the point to keep going. That's the point to stop, because the next day you're going to be really excited to get to that point, and that's going to keep the momentum going. And then obviously you're going to try to stick to your word count after that. So when you get stuck on a day, go back, do some revision, stick to your word count, and I think you will avoid writer's block. Like the video, subscribe. In the comments, if you have any ideas, questions for me for future videos, I'll try to respond to them as well. Thank you.